Hello, comic fans. Here's our great cheers. And here's a stack of one fine comic publisher called New York Review Comics, which is an offspring of New York Review Books. So they share their distribution service, at least. So that gives them a little advantage, maybe. And this is an amazing publisher because, for the most part, of the variety of crazy books, it's almost not predictable with which crazy outsider-ish stuff they will surprise you the next time. For an instance, we have here Trots and Bonnie by Cherry Flanagan, which is a cartoon series that came out in National Lampoon in the 70s and I guess in the 80s as well, yeah. And it's all about that teenager Bonnie and her dog Trots. And she grows up and discovers the world of the adults and sexuality and is not more innocent than the adults, and she discovers they have a pretty rotten mind. and I mean, just look at the cover here. Guess what the little girl here wants to do with the scissors and this boy there. And yeah, it's all about that. And this just really sets the tone for the whole book. Including, I want to talk about the publisher, so I really have to speak about how well-fitting all these books were made with all these different shapes and formats to fit the content. So this book here deserved an oversized hardcover like this. This book, these comics deserved annotations by Cherry Flanagan herself in the background, in the back matter of this book here, which is really great. And here we have a bit bio stuff and additional material. So if you have never had anything by this publisher, maybe you should check out this book here. Then we have two mangas here, just on the sideline, you may recognize that their logo here changes from book to book, which is a fine and interesting detail. Like their books are so diverse, and even with mangas, this one here is obviously a book that you can read from left to right, and this is the manga way from back to front. And there has been a flood of these strange mangas. For the most part, they stem from the Garo manga magazine with Outsider manga from way back then. And they have now new translations, or the first translations, usually and I guess almost exclusively by one Ryan Homberg, who delivers usually these back matter essays about the artists and the context and so on. Slumwolf was really interesting manga, very un-manga-ish, not the usual wide-eyed manga fare, as you can see here. Very independent. Actually, in my mind, much more similar to some independent American underground comics. So it's probably very fitting that this book here reads from left to right. More manga-ish, but very freewheeling is this book here by Sugiura Shigeru about Ninja Sarutobi Sasuke, which is some kind of folk hero, folk figure, samurai in Japan. And here he mixes a lot of Western pop art tropes Wild Western comics and crazy aliens and whatnot. It's a really fun cocktail. So if you like this kind of stuff, you should not just look for New York Review Comics, but for other publishers like Breakdown Press, like the Smudge imprint from Living the Line, and so on. There are a lot of other publishers who put out these mangas translated by Brian Holmberg. So Brian Holmberg's mangas are somehow a genre of their own. So this book here was not published by New York Review Comics, but I saw that New York Review Comics publishes W like Whore or somehow by Anke Feuchtenberger, which is German cartoonist, who is a German cartoonist, and a very interesting one. So I want to give you a sneak peek of her art. She's quite for as far as underground comics go, quite famous over here. And her art is really amazing and interesting. I have to say, I still have to understand a bit more and get more into her very idiosyncratic way of storytelling. But the art helps a lot, and so her crazy ways of storytelling really grows on me with each read of her very special comics. So if you kind of dig this stuff that you see here, maybe check out the book by New York Comic Reviews that I mentioned. Another book that has not been published in this particular format by New York Review Comics is The Green Hand by Nicole Clavelou. This is quite an old book from 70s or 80s. Yeah, it's from 1981 by the German Volksverlag. Here we have Nicole Clavelou. But her stuff has been reprinted by New York Review Comics, which is a fantastic thing because this comic here is one of my favorite books of all time. It's surreal, it's wonderfully drawn, it's her voice is very unique in comics. And here, yeah, it's just beautiful, and the storytelling, it's really like nothing else that you have experienced. Pretty surreal, as I said it. I mean, you can look at this stuff here. It's just really wonderful. So I'm really glad that there is an English translation of her work. Long overdue, I might say. Next up is Pittsburgh by Frank Santoro. And this book here is really done by New York Review Comics and has this overall handmade feel to it, which makes it a bit like a diary of sorts. All the good felt marker stuff here and crayon stuff is reproduced, and there are a lot of cutouts, and even the crinkles of the original papers are shown, so that you really have a feel that you can glimpse into one's diary. And this diary, or rather memoir, is the attempt to understand why his parents have divorced back in the day, and how they came together, and how they split up, and why they don't talk with each other until today, probably. It's a bit an open ending here, which is one of the interesting aspects here. So the art is a bit amateurish in the best way, has this wild energy that you can see here. And I mean, you really have to applaud a publisher who puts out big, chunky hardcover like this one here with some very idiosyncratic personal matter like this. And Frank Santoro really finds some amazing pictures to add to his search for his for the history of his family, like this one here. All the things you are, and this song comes into your head, and then this picture of this house falling into this lake. Overall, very interesting art, very interesting experiment. The story, since it goes all through the nooks and crannies of his family's history, is maybe not so interesting for everyone. But if you can relate to the trope of divorce and all the ramifications on one's family, then this book is really something you should check out. Quite different, but yet pretty similar in terms of what makes this book interesting is the art, and not so much the story, at least for me. Is Distant Ruptures, a collection of early comics by Underground's darling Christopher Forge. Christopher Forge, how the heck is he pronounced? I don't know. Christopher Forge. So probably a good decision to go by the just his letter CF. This collection here is all about his early stuff, copied material, little mini zines, stuff that appeared in anthologies like Kramer's Ergot, for instance. Wonderfully drawn stuff, colored stuff. I have to say this was made it even on the cover of one of the Kramer's Ergot. And some loose mini zines are just, actually, to be honest with you, trials to tell a story and then stop in the middle of it. So the endings are very open, which made them not less interesting, I really have to admit. Sometimes the border to art is very blurry, so this is rather art that makes your head scratch, but it doesn't look bad at all. I really love this wild kind of stuff here, but even though I feel this is more fitting for gallery or art exhibition, and then you have these stories here, these attempts to tell stories. They come along in the first panels like long format, longer stories, and then they decline to some silliness like this one, but I don't always cherish, I have to say. It's really style over content a lot in this book here, but man, he tries so much interesting stuff and uses the possibilities of modern reproduction techniques to just to go with your pencils to use every smear that you can do on the paper for your storytelling in a really nice way. And don't be afraid to look childish or to give your sugar to your inner child and so on. A really interesting book if you like the stuff in Kramer's Ergot. Talking about wild art, the godfather of wild art is obviously Gary Panther, and his Jimbo Adventures in Paradise is a classic of wild art. I mean, just look at the stuff here. It's totally bonkers. And sometimes it maybe makes us, it confuses you with all his wildness and the unpredictability of the stuff that. But if you want to delve a bit deeper or have some explanations or just a guide through this wild stuff, I could recommend Bubbles number 7, in which, amongst other very good stuff. Interview with Jesse Jacobs, for instance. There is some read-along, 8 pages of Panthers reading Jimbo in Paradise, which came before a New York Review Comics republished this stuff here. And Pete Fake goes through each page of the beginning of Adventures in Paradise. And you will discover new stuff through the eyes of Mr. Fake here, which is an interesting idea to do so. Speaking of bubbles, if you want to know more about New York Review Comics, I could recommend this early zine here from Bubbles, number 5 as well. Well, you have an interview with Lali Westwind. This would be a reason for itself to check out this Bubbles issue of Bubbles. But we have here an interview with the heads behind that fine publisher, Gabriel Winslow Yost and Lucas Adams. And here you can see some overview about all the different shapes their logo comes in the different books here. For instance, this is the way it was done on Pittsburgh. So yeah, they share a lot of their insights and their reasons why they choose their books and how they came to publish books. And they really go into the details of bookmaking. For an example, how important it is to them to number their pages. They can't understand how some publisher just don't number the pages of the comics. So, and here we have a biography, and it's still growing in a big way, and so I really would recommend to check out the internet site, the website of New York Review Comics for all additional information, because, as I said, this is just a fraction of the very interesting roster of that publisher. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.